This isn't going to work well.
It's fun.
Let's talk a minute for some of the people that could have done it. I mean, Ozzy by himself, whacked out guy. Okay, there's not even a conspiracy there. Just forget it. But the government says there was a conspiracy and there was probably 2 gunmen. All right, now it is a conspiracy. But, you know, the mob sends out a hitman to kill somebody. The mob boss don't go out and pop somebody. He puts out a hit. So something put out a hit then, let's just say, and had JFK silenced in the limousine in Dallas. So I find this interesting. If we start with Lyndon B. Johnson, the vice president, and I think we can paint a picture there and then move into some of the other agencies, okay? Lyndon B. Johnson. People want to say, or some people will postulate, that LBJ put this thing together to have Kennedy killed. And as I'm going to share with you in just a minute, that's a long shot for me. That he was instrumental, like he put it together, okay? Like it was his idea. Although once LBJ took office as president, look at the political trajectory, the policies from Kennedy, whoosh, about face to LBJ. Either LBJ was lying when he was running for VP, or something influenced his mind to change those thoughts, okay, to change that direction. So anyway, so I don't know, maybe there was some kind of pressure on LBJ. Let me ask you this. If you've got this monolithic organization with vast resources, vast conscriptions of resources, you think you could apply a little heat maybe to the VP? You think? I think so. What if you apply a little heat to the CIA so that they're not going to look into conspiracies because there's some pressures here, some shenanigans there, and somebody who knows it all and is everywhere is moving this thing to where it needs to go. Boom, Warren Commission reports, thinking it had all the data to do it. 1,600 pages of not fully being investigated. It's the President of the United States that got killed, mother effers. Do your jobs. Investigate until no stone is unturned. Consider every whacked out possibility and figure it out. That's what we're paying you for, you jackholes. I didn't know I was going to be so animated. So listen, all right. Back over to chat for just a second. Actually, I'm looking at chat. Money, follow the money, says Claude Christ. Well, that's a great deal unless the people following the money are the people with the money. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to move to another section of this right now. We're going to go and talk about who's responsible. So first of all, we've established, or at least I've established, Ozzy baby didn't work all by himself. Probably wasn't his idea, even if he did pull the trigger, okay? I don't think I want to get caught up in how many gunmen there were or what his motivation, Ozzy's motivation could have been. You've got that. You got the federal government issuing a report saying probably more than one gunman, probably conspiracy, all right? And that all these agencies didn't do diligence in investigating the assassination of the president, by the way. All right, so we've laid that. Then we listened to the speech of JFK at the Waldorf talking about this conspiracy, how far they reach, what their agenda is, and what they do to dissenters, which is silence them, which is what actually happened to JFK. So let's lay that as a foundation. So here's the thing for me. I did my own little bit of thinking on this, and this is where you're really going to start calling me a conspiratard. All right. It goes like this. If you're going to look for who ultimately put the hit out on the President of the United States, you got to start with who it couldn't possibly be. Couldn't possibly be. If it was the Russians, the USSR, like people want to say, do we honestly believe the USSR would have big enough brass ones to kill our president. Because if anybody found out, we would nuke them back to the freaking Stone Age, right? They could not handle the reprisal of if we found out they killed our president. It would be way too great a risk. All right. So what about Cuba? Well, Cuba, we would just done. They're in the Caribbean forever, upside down. A lot of good rum would go to waste. All right. Cuban sympathizers. Okay. The CIA, the FBI. No, not directly, not intentionally, because if anybody found out, the repercussions would be, you don't want to bring the entire might of the American people down on your ass, right? Let me go back real quick, and then I'll introduce these people to you, okay? World War II, there is evidence that would suggest we knew Pearl Harbor was coming. We let it happen, baby, because the Prez wanted to get involved in World War II in Europe. So here's what we did. We starved the Japanese until they had no choice with a blockade, until they were forced to attack us. We let it happen. We made a big speech. American people were like, oh, hell no. I don't know how we got to Germany from Japan, by the way. There's some reasons people give, but Germany didn't bomb us. But whatever, there's that deal. 9/11, right? We're not going to talk about all the conspiracies about 9/11, but planes hit a building collapses, 5,000 people are killed. The president gets up and goes, it'll be a day of infamy. Kind of like the president back in 1941. Right? So the American people are like, oh, hell no. So all the might of the American people, and then we go to wherever. But by the way, how did two terrorists, plane bombings, lead us to attack Iraq and Afghanistan? But they didn't attack conspiracies. What I'm getting at, you get the might of the American people behind you, and you better watch out, Jack, because we are badass when we want to be. All right. So know who's going to risk it. It can't be somebody that we would easily know. So, great. My big wind up, and we're running out of time. I'm gonna just, the mob wouldn't do it either, by the way. The mob, because we would eliminate all mob people. We would form a mob to waste the mob. So here we'll go with the final point. Let me take a drink, and I'm gonna get crazy. All right, here we go. You guys over in chat ready for this? Here it comes. Now listen up. I'm gonna take you way back. All right, all the way back to the Roman Empire. Way back. In about 300-ish AD, there's a guy named Constantine, right? Now, before that, the Roman Empire was not always, but a monolithic, heavily conscripted organization that advanced its sphere of influence. That's why it existed. They just kept conquering for the sake of conquering crap, right? To get more and more and more. So we move forward in history. I'm not going to give you a whole history lesson, but there was a point in history where the empire was kind of honked up. It was falling apart. Christians are being murdered, and there was this other kinds of worship, and there's all this turmoil. And Constantine was smart enough to know that if he could unite the people under some banner of God, that they'd be his. And guess what? And by the way, not offending Catholics, Protestants, Jews, Muslims, whatever. That's not where I'm going. It's not about your religion, okay? It's about what Constantine did and what happened after that. He took the best parts of Christianity and some Hindu stuff mixed in, some Greek stuff mixed in. But at his foundation, he was a member of a religious order that was for the elite and the officers, that kind of thing. It's called Mithraism. I can't pronounce. I've heard it pronounced 100 times. It's basically a cult where they worship the sun. Okay, it was held in secret. They did not keep records or documents, but through archaeology and some stuff, yada yada, they've put it together that it happened. If you look at the tenets of that religion and the tenets of early Christianity, they don't match, but then suddenly they do. He merged into one religion. Okay, it's not a religious thing we're doing right now. Okay, so I'm not going there. But so here's what happens. Now he's got Christians in his army and he's got pagans in his army, and it's all one religion. They all, yay, let's go kick the shit out of some barbarians. Things are great. Things work well. About 7 years before he dies, he calls together this council. The Christians are losing their minds, killing each other and all kinds of stuff. He calls them together, forces them into an agreement. If you don't agree, you're exiled. So people agreed. Hello. He dies. Kingdom starts falling apart again. But the people of his church that he started, his religious order, we won't call it church, his state religion, the bishops now had local control of everything. So let's move a little fast forward here. So as the quote unquote Roman Empire decays and falls apart, the Holy Roman Empire takes over. Okay. And from the Holy Roman Empire through the 1600s or so, you've got world conquest, mass riches being stored up, intimidation of people, covert means, on and on and on. All the stuff JFK's talking about is happening. And their sphere of influence is massive. It's global. The only problem is they couldn't seem to get into the Middle East directly. The Crusades were just an abominable failure. So anyway, so you got this big, massive, world-controlling religious order. Well, where do you think they went? Listen, this Holy Roman Empire of today is not the same one of the 1600s. Things have been straightened out, cleaned up, peaceful things are advancing and all that, right? So it's not the same. But those same people that transferred their influence from pre-Roman Empire into Roman Empire into Holy Roman Empire, where the hell? You think they just disappeared? They just said, well, screw it. We've been shedding blood for 5,000 years. Why stop now? No. In my humble opinion, they're still out there. But now they don't have to conscript armies of people. They're too deep. They've changed their tactics. Now they control governments and markets and economies through covert means, as President Kennedy was saying. So that's their motivation. That's who's doing it. It's a real thing. You want to joke around about TARDs and new orders and shit. It's really there. It's really happening. And we're going to explore this in more detail as we move forward. But okay, let me just give you one reason why I actually care. Okay, because what do we care? We can live in the Matrix and be all happy. Here's why we care. As JFK said, we all need to be what we were born to be, which is free and independent, not pieces on a chessboard to move around so you can gain sphere of influence. While some of us lose our house and our life savings and our automobiles and our families and shit. No, not happening. All right, anyway. That's my big thing. If Oswald pulled the trigger, he wasn't alone. And even the government says so. Second of all, JFK was describing for us the exact organization and the reasons and motivations why just before he was killed. And thirdly, if you look at this world conquest and how others have tried, the Japanese tried, the Germans tried, whatever group they're calling themselves now, they're alive and well. JFK even said so.